That movie sucked.
I kind of liked it.
Movie Night Crew Network.
Perhaps the Gryffindor team will be able to raise some gold and get new brooms, too. You could raffle off those clean sweep 5s. I expect a museum would bid for them. The Slytherin team howled with laughter. At least no one on the Gryffindor team had to buy their way in, said Hermione sharply. They got in on pure talent. The smug look on Malfoy's face flickered. No one asked your opinion, you filthy little mudblood. He spat. Harry knew at once that Malfoy had said something really bad because there was an instant uproar at his words. Flint had to dive in front of Malfoy to stop Fred and George jumping on him. Alicia shrieked, "How dare you!" And Ron plunged his hand into his robes, pulled out his wand, yelling, "You'll pay for this one, Malfoy!" and pointed it furiously under Flint's arm at Malfoy's face. A loud bang echoed around the stadium, and a jet of green light shot out of the wrong end of Ron's wand, hitting him in the stomach and sending him reeling backwards onto the grass. "Ron! Ron! Are you all right?" squealed Hermione. Ron opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Instead, he gave an almighty belch, and several slugs dribbled out of his mouth onto his lap. What's up, potheads? Welcome to the restricted section, in which a bunch of nerds with potty mouths reread the Harry Potter series for the umpteenth time and discuss how the story and its themes have stayed with a generation into adulthood. Thank you for listening. If you haven't done the reading, don't worry, we did it for you. Here's what we are talking about today. Chapter 7, Mudbloods and Murmurs. This chapter starts with Oliver Wood waking up Harry at the crack of dawn on the first Saturday of term because he's really excited to start practicing his new Quidditch program. As Harry's making his way out of the Gryffindor Tower, he's intercepted by Colin Creevey, who heard somebody saying his name, and Colin asks Harry to sign a photograph of him. Harry just says flatly no and tries to get along to Quidditch practice, but he can't shake Colin Creevey, who follows him all the way down to the Quidditch pitch, asking questions about Quidditch, because as a reminder, Colin Creevey is a Muggle-born, so he doesn't know anything yet. Harry manages to ditch Colin when he goes into the locker room where Oliver Wood is ready to launch right into like a 3-hour explanation of his really brilliant new Quidditch program. I don't think anyone's listening. Everyone's like falling asleep. Harry's daydreaming about breakfast the whole time. Wood has a lot of like boards with like squiggles, you know, like football style, but they're like magic, so they can run around and stuff, but I still don't think anyone's really following. Finally, they start flying. Ron and Hermione have come down to the pit with their breakfast to watch. Colin Creevey's trying to take pictures, and before they can even really get started, the Slytherins show up. Because Snape wrote them a special note that they could practice today, even though the Gryffindors had formally booked the pitch for practice. It turns out that Draco Malfoy's on the team now, and it becomes apparent that he bribed his way onto the team because his dad bought the entire team Nimbus 2001 broomsticks. Harry flies in Nimbus 2000. As soon as the two Quidditch teams start going back and forth, Ron and Hermione come down onto the pitch like it's their business, and Hermione says, at least no one on the Gryffindor team had to buy their way in. They got in on pure talent, obviously implying that Malfoy bought his way onto the team and doesn't actually deserve to be there. Draco calls Hermione a mudblood. There's an explosive reaction on all sides. A fight very nearly breaks out, except for that Ron tries to curse Draco, and because of his broken wand, it ends up backfiring into his own stomach, and he starts barfing slugs. Harry and Hermione immediately take Ron to Hagrid's. Hagrid is like, better out than in, barf them into this bucket. And he does that. I mean, Ron doesn't really have a choice. He's just barfing into the bucket. And they talk a little bit about how shitty of a person Lockhart is. Ron and Hermione learn what the word mudblood means. It's a slur for someone who is not a pureblood wizard. Ron makes a point that almost no wizards are pureblood anymore because wizard kind would have died out if they didn't marry muggles along the way. As they go back up to the school for lunch, Ron's ailment, to say the least, kind of settles down, and they're able to walk up to the school for lunch. Professor McGonagall intercepts them and reminds Ron and Harry that they have detentions for the whole flying car debacle that night. Ron has to go polish trophies with Filch, and Harry has to help Lockhart answer his fan mail. So he does that. While he's serving his detention with Lockhart, Harry hears a voice in the wall saying some really creepy and threatening things about, like, murdering people. Totally cool. And finally, Harry goes back to the dorm, meets Ron there, and Ron has no explanation for this disembodied voice. Since you're here listening to my disembodied voice, let me invite you to connect with us in the digital realm. We are on Patreon at patreon.com/therestricted-section. We have a lot of really cool rewards there, including bonus episodes, which we're really, really proud of, and they're super fun, and they're about things besides the chapters, so I definitely recommend that you check those out. The next one we have coming out is Behind the Magic Bastards, a look into Gilderoy Lockhart, the Wizarding World's greatest grifter. We also do exclusive Instagram content, and we even host monthly Zoom happy hours with our highest tier patrons, so it's a ton of fun. Please check it out. The link is in the show notes. You can also connect with us for free on Twitter at RestrictedPod, on Instagram at RestrictedSectionPod. You can also hang out with us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group called the Restricted Section Detention Crew, where we post memes and talk about stuff and share stuff and, stuff. Facebook is where stuff is. We also have a page, Restricted Section Podcast, on Facebook, which is not quite as cool as our group, but that's a great place to leave us a review. If you listen to us through a podcasting platform that doesn't have reviews. Hey, since we're talking about reviews, it would be very, very cool of you if you left us a review. We love reviews. We're book people. We love reading. And we would love nothing more than to read the highest form of literature, reviews, on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts if they let you submit reviews. We would love to read your review on our podcast because, as you may have noticed, it is a reading podcast. So we will read. Perhaps I have said the word read too much. I don't know. Anyway, please enjoy Mudbloods and Murmurs. Hello, welcome to the Restricted Section. It's me, Gilderoy Lockhart, Order of Merlin, 3rd class, honorary member of the Dark Force Defense League, and 5-time winner of Witch Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award. Just kidding, it's me, your host, Christina. Welcome to my podcast. Haley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I have a question. How many times did you practice that in the mirror?
I've really been practicing a lot. It sounds great, right?
It sounded perfect. That's why I'm asking.
Thank you. I read it.
What was the magic number?
The strongest magical number is 7, as
cool.
We all know.
Good to know.
Mary-Peyton, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I gave blood this morning.
Okay,
everyone
cool.
should.
To a vampire?
Yeah, actually. Yep. Everyone should donate to their local vampire regularly.
Everyone's really struggling due to the coronavirus, especially vampires right now. Their blood supply is being diverted to hospitals, so do everything you can to support them.
It's really a bad time.
No one's going out and wandering down dark alleyways at night anymore. Their hunting has really been affected.
Yeah, if you really care about the vampire community, go wander down an alleyway. And we are very excited to have back our very special guest today, Danni. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Very happy to be back. I wish I had something funny and witty to say like all of you, but here I am.
We're delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
It will come up organically. Don't worry.
Of course.
Don't you worry about a damn thing. So today we're talking about Mudbloods and Murmurs. Ooh. A pretty good title, for a chapter. It makes me want to read it.
Gotta love alliteration.
Yeah. And it's one of the few chapter titles, at least in these first couple books so far, where when I read it, I couldn't immediately remember what happened in it, I was like, okay, Mudbloods, that's probably the whole slug debacle. And then I was like, Murmur. Well, maybe I did. I couldn't remember exactly. Let's put it that way.
I mean, there's a lot of murmurs in this whole book. This could be murmurs of rumors, or what kind of murmurs are they? And then we find out at the end.
Indeed,
creepy murmurs.
Indeed. Yeah, the really bad kind of murmurs.
Yeah. Arguably the worst.
Arguably the worst. Man, best case scenario, he's schizophrenic, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's not good when that's your best case scenario.
Imagine being a schizophrenic wizard. That would suck.
Yeah, that would suck.
It would just be an unfortunate situation.
So the chapter starts with just like a little summary. So the last chapter was Harry's first day back at Hogwarts, first day of term with Gilderoy Lockhart, right? And like the whole and the whole picture signing debacle and like Gilderoy fucking Lockhart and herbology. Okay, so this chapter starts with just like a summary of the rest of the week. Like it happens, they go to class and shit. Colin Creevey is always like stalking them.
You know, I have to say, like, just from an editorial standpoint, like, this is something that that bitch does really well, that a lot of writers really struggle with, which is like getting from point A to point B in like a time frame.
The general passing of time.
Yes, the general passing of time. Like, very often I'll have, you know, an author like really have trouble with a transition like this, and I'll be like 1 or 2 chapters of like how the last month went, and they're like, I don't understand how you want me to cover an entire month. You can do it in one, like, this is how
like
you do
one
it.
Sentence.
It's not hard.
You don't need to tell us. You don't need to tell us about every single step they took on their way to Mount Doom, okay? Like, just get us there.
Yes.
A little pointed, Christina.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to imply that Tolkien is a novice writer.
I mean, no, but he was also really bad at this. Like, he was, I mean, that book is a slog, and that's why.
When I think excruciating and unnecessary detail, my brain goes straight to Tolkien.
I feel like a lot of fantasy writers probably fall into it more easily than other authors because they're building this entire world.
Yeah, and you want to show it off, and I get that, but like, you don't.
If you got it, flaunt it.
Not always. I'm just saying, if you're struggling with like this aspect of writing, I mean, this is a good series to study for that element.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's George R. R. Martin, who like everything is constantly happening, and it's like, is this even like? There's so much happening that I like. Are you telling me only one day has passed and 7,000 people have been murdered before my eyes?
That was his skill. That's his skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's great at that. I love those chapters where she's like, fall faded into winter and like suddenly the castle was drafty and everyone was wearing their winter cloaks. Like, it's just like cozy. You're like, I'm going to settle down for this wintry chapter.
It is very cozy vibes. I love it. I think, you know, something that's really great that happened in the series is we really get a full picture of the coziness of Hogwarts. And I think that's very undervalued in the series. Like, come on, who wouldn't want to cozy up in a sweater made by Ron's mom next to the fireplace? Like, that is my dream.
Oh, totally. I would never, ever leave.
Same. That, and I'd forget the password all the time, so I'd be stuck in the common room.
Can't leave, can't get back in.
She uses weather a lot to sort of set the stage for each of her different scenes. Like I think it was the last chapter that she started with a gray sky in the Great Hall.
Yeah.
And you can really feel through the chapter the sort of like the day we had today in Virginia, like kind of just like damp and
just
rainy.
Shitty, yeah.
But then in this one, when Oliver wakes him up really or super early, she talks about a pink and gold sky. You really get a good feeling of the setting in just a few words that way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the thin mist hanging. Yeah.
So Scottish as hell.
I really love too how we have our little creepy boy Colin following, and I really think that, you know, I was rereading the chapter prior to this, and having that element of an unwanted guest so early on in the chapter, to me, really foreshadowed to the later on unwanted guests on the Quidditch field. It was just an interesting little tidbit I noticed, how we're immediately starting off with Harry's annoyance and this unwanted guest, and Harry continues to be annoyed even on the Quidditch field, which you can argue is, you know, one of his happy places throughout Hogwarts. Yeah. And all of a sudden Slytherin rolls up like, you want to fight, bitch? Except obviously not really.
No, this this whole book is like just little inconveniences pissing Harry off.
Yeah, yes. And it's I think that, you know, Colin Creevey was annoying in the last chapter, and Colin Creevey is annoying throughout this chapter, and yet that bitch still mentions him at the head of the chapter. And I think that's so that we start getting annoyed just reading his name. We're like, yeah, we get it. He's there. Like, I get it.
Yep.
Like,
cannot forget Colin. We get it.
He makes it very difficult to forget him.
he's just like every child in like every like action or fantasy film doing all the wrong things. He's like Edmund with the Turkish delights. He's like every kid who like did the wrong thing. Like
he's the shitty little brother in Jumanji who starts the Jumanji game.
I was just about to say he's the shitty little brother in Jurassic Park.
He kind of looks like him too.
He's
like
so
with the mousy
annoying.
hair.
He's so annoying, and it's like you do all the wrong things. Yeah, just take that flashlight if you would and shine it directly into the T-Rex's eyes. That's like the right move. So like the chapter starts with Colin stalking them, and then on the first Saturday of term, after Harry's had this like tough week getting back into the swing of things, Oliver Wood does wake him up at daybreak for Quidditch practice. I feel like Oliver Wood maybe has like bipolar disorder or something, because he's like
definitely manic. He's definitely prone to manic episodes,
but he's also prone to depressive episodes.
Yeah, and it all hinges on Quidditch.
That's his thing.
He makes me think of I'm a manager for my full-time job, and it makes me think of those times when any day, if I'm super excited and trying to motivate people, it's like pulling teeth all the time. Because as the manager, you kind of have a stake, and tend to be a little more passionate probably about the job than the other people that you're managing.
You're being held more accountable for sure.
Yeah, and this is a little bit different because I'm sure that Quidditch excites them too, but someone else is in charge, so it's his job to motivate this group of like teenagers to work hard when there's
Harry
not really a coach.
Harry is not even a teenager yet. Harry's 12.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's not really a coach. There's not really an adult figure that's making sure that they go to practices. It's up to this other kid.
Yeah.
I sports people are also just like this. Like that was something that my dad like worked on actively when I was younger. Like he was a big Steelers fan, and anytime the Steelers lost, he would be like grumpy for a week, and he was like, I can't be doing this. I've got a kid. Like I need to chill the fuck out.
Wow, good on him.
I know.
Right?
That's nice.
Reading through this chapter and seeing how zealous Oliver was to, get the balls flying rather than the balls rolling. Anyway.
Oh, nice.
I shouldn't explain jokes. It's not funny that way.
No. That's what we do here.
It really, especially reading it in today's COVID times, I was just kind of, COVID definitely taints everything we do and a lot of things we think about even without realizing it. So I found myself reading it wondering, I wonder what Oliver would occupy himself with, if Quidditch was canceled due to COVID. I think he would just be a miserable little boy. Well, teenager.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of like creative energy for the sport that just it has to go somewhere.
That's a really good way to describe how sports ball annoyance he is with that creative energy term. Very nice. I like that.
Sports ball annoyance.
The plague of sports ball annoyance. So, as Harry is going down to the Quidditch pitch, Colin meets him on the stairs and is like, I heard someone say your name. It's like literally so like my eyes are not even open yet, dude. And he shows Harry the picture that he took earlier that week of him and Lockhart together and is like, will you sign this? And Harry is like, no.
I love in the picture, like he looks at it and all he sees is his own arm that like the picture of Lockhart is trying to drag back into the frame. There's a lot of really like slapstick humor in the books that doesn't really make it into the movies.
It's just so annoying because movies are where slapstick humor
like that would have been perfect. Like what a moment that would be. Yeah. And y'all just skipped it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great. And like Harry is such a polite little lonely British boy, and I think this is the like other than like outright fighting with Draco, I think this is the first time he's just like kind of shitty to someone. He's like, no, I'm not going to sign that.
I think that's a very good point, and something worth talking about throughout this series so far. We've really seen Harry with all these highs still being just, fascinated by this magical world, and suddenly a part of, the Muggle world is dragged into Hogwarts, just him constantly being annoyed by the presence of another human who he doesn't like. And really, what's more normal than that, especially in a school setting? So I really appreciated that when I reread it. Definitely not something I picked up on in earlier years when I first read it. So
yeah, Colin is a very useful narrative device.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
And definitely if you're like generally a nice person, you accidentally pick up friends that you like maybe don't want.
Yeah, a couple months in, you're like, oh, this was a mistake.
Oh, I'm your best friend? Like, none of this was intentional.
I didn't. Where do I unsign?
Haley, I've been meaning to talk with you about that, actually.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Right now.
Good, because I feel the same way, Christina.
I feel
It's been
that
3 years.
The long con.
honestly, there's still some people from college I'm still trying to shake, and like,
oh my god, move away.
Yeah, they text me and I respond like a week later, and I'd respond because I feel bad. Like, I feel like that attitude is just how Harry feels the majority of this chapter. Like, no matter what you do, you just can't shake that little fucker.
Like, we talked about this, I think, a couple episodes ago, but like, this is why I think Harry's an introvert.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's almost like Colin Greavy is almost like that guy at the party that you like are trying to hint at, and it's like eventually you just need to turn around and be like, hey dude, I don't like you, could you give me some space? Okay.
And then they get upset about it.
And then they're like, you're a bitch. And it's like, well, when I said I needed to go to the bathroom for 45 minutes, you didn't pick up what I was laying down. So Colin is asking Harry all these questions about Quidditch, which Harry can't even be like, fuck you, Google it. Like, he just has to explain it. Like,
but I have to say, like, you know, we were complaining in the first, like, 2 chapters, like, the first 2 chapters of every Harry Potter book was such a slog because you get all this exposition about, like, Harry was a very special boy, you see. And, like, now that we're at Hogwarts, like, we can have this information, like, we can be reminded how Quidditch works, like, in an actual narrative device, and it's not as annoying.
It is well done. It's definitely well done. So Colin follows Harry to practice. Harry's like, oh, it's really boring. Like, I don't know, man. I would take that hint. You know, like, I would fucking take that hint. But no, Colin's like, I don't care. I've never seen anything before.
So, I want to see balls fly.
He chases him. He follows him down to the Quidditch pitch. And Harry only manages to shake him when he goes into the... What are they called?
The locker room.
Lockers. Yeah. I was like, fitting rooms. That's not right. That can't be right.
Fitting rooms.
As annoying as Colin is, I think that Colin is a really great, if not, over-exaggerated, but a really great reminder of Harry and his first experience with Hogwarts. Although Harry wasn't like, as excited and, cracked out as Colin appears, Colin and Harry do have a lot of similarities. And I think that in this chapter, the excitement that we see in Colin really magnifies the similarities that we have between Harry and Colin. So I just really think that it was very well done portraying, Harry to be extremely annoyed by this little obnoxious little jumping up and down boy, and, Colin just being this, hey, what are we doing now? Hey, what are we doing now? Oh my God, Harry, you're the best. I love you. Like,
I'm your number 1 fan.
Harry's like, I'm a real wizard now. You need to step up.
So Harry goes into the locker room.
Oliver, I think they actually use changing room. Sorry.
Changing room, whatever it is. It's definitely not a fitting room.
Close enough.
So it's whatever they call it. It's a locker room, and so Oliver Wood just launches into like a lecture, dude. At like it's got to be like 6 a.m.
for like over an hour.
Yeah, it goes on and on. Like it's like that the PowerPoint that never ends, and you're like, damn, I thought we were gonna get out of class early.
Nope.
Everyone's
class
like
ain't even started yet, player.
Yeah, everyone's like falling asleep on each other.
He even has magic on his side for this presentation. It's still not exciting at all.
Yeah.
Even though he's got magic on his side to like move everything around on the whiteboards, he's still using a regular whiteboard. Like,
I love the description of like the arrows wiggling all over the diagram like caterpillars.
Yeah.
It's such a frantic scene, and it just matches. It shows us, I feel like, what's going on inside Oliver's head. Like, as soon as he wakes Harry up to go back a couple of pages, his eyes were gleaming with a crazed enthusiasm. And then he's got these 3 different whiteboards with just like frantic,
oh my God.
Like that meme with
Charlie.
God. Charlie and the red string, like
that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yes,
this is how we defeat Slytherin.
I've solved the mystery.
I think the franticness and the mania in that scene really kind of showcases what we were talking about earlier, kind of joking that Oliver may be in fact schizophrenic. You know, part of that is paranoia
or bipolar.
Bipolar. And when we move just a couple pages forward in the chapter, you know, when they're out on the field and Colin's being his little creep with his camera, you know, Oliver's first thought is, oh my God, he's a spy from Slytherin taking pictures. What do we do? Like, he does not lose that mania.
Yeah, so after everyone falls asleep, they do finally go outside and start flying. Ron and Hermione are there, and Ron's like, aren't you fucking done yet? And Harry is like, we literally have not even started.
But I think it's so funny that Hermione and Ron are out there. They just sort of,
with
whatever
breakfast.
happened.
They brought their breakfast.
They've just like already solidified their golden trio thing. Like, they just are together constantly all the time. Like, I think it's so funny in a little bit when Slytherin pops up. And so Slytherin and Gryffindor are having this discussion, which we'll get to, I know. And then Hermione and Ron are like, what's going on? Let's go up there and see what's going on and see if we can add our 2 cents to it.
Yeah, we really need you.
We might need to throw hands. We need to get down there.
They're ready. They are ready at all times.
I do think
Real
it's cute.
MVPs.
I do think it's cute. Like, they're like, we're gonna sit around and eat breakfast anyway. It's Saturday morning. Like, and like it's still nice outside, so like might as well go see how the team's doing.
I guess that's what happens when you don't have smartphones. You like actually just go attend things with your friends.
Yeah, I feel like Hermione probably gave Ron an option. Like, well, we can go to the library or we can go to the Quidditch pitch. Let's go to the Quidditch pitch.
Well, and. I think they were planning to visit Hagrid that day, or
they were.
So they maybe they were like, oh, we could do that.
Yeah,
because that's nearby. Yes, they are ride or die. So yeah, Colin is taking pictures, which is super annoying. When you're at a play, they're like, don't take pictures because it will distract the actors and they'll fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like distracting.
And that's what happens here.
Yeah, and Fred and George are like, who is that kid? And Harry says he doesn't know. Why do you think he lies? Instead of just being like, oh, it's just the stupid kid who likes me.
Yeah, he's just not in the fucking mood
to even engage.
Like, also, like, Harry has like a little bit of a dynamic with Fred and George where like, especially like by now, where he just thinks that they're like really cool older brothers and like they're kind of like his really cool older brothers and he wants to impress them. Like, there are points throughout the series where he's like, no, if I admit that I'm scared of this thing, like Fred and George might think I'm losing my nerve. Like, I think that's literally a line that comes up at one point. And so he doesn't want to be associated with this little fucking kid because he's like,
I get it.
He escaped in a flying car with them and then he rode the flying car again and like he's almost cool. He's almost cool to Fred and George.
Yeah.
And he needs to keep that. He needs to keep his street cred.
I was just going to say, yeah, he needs to keep his street cred. Like, thanks for taking my line.
You're welcome.
You're taking my fucking street cred right now.
Yeah, that sweet, sweet Harry Potter street cred.
Talk nerdy to me.
Okay, so then who should show up but the fucking Slytherins? It's Marcus Flint. You'll remember him from the films. His one line is, take that sword!
Those fucking troll teeth.
He's an actual orc person.
Ugh.
Yeah, we don't like him. I mean, there's some serious Slytherin profiling in this series.
For sure.
So Wood had booked the pitch for that day, like the way you're supposed to do it. And so he is, quote, in outrage about this. I guess he booked it for the whole fucking day. God knows how long he would have asked the team to stay there if the Slytherins hadn't broken it up, actually.
Sounds like the whole fucking day.
Oh, yeah. Just Slytherin showing up with their 1% privilege, you know?
Oh, my God. Yeah. They're Nimbus 2001% privilege.
Private school's just like that.
Yeah, private school is just like that.
I wanted to point out, too, this paragraph about that she writes specifically about the Slytherin team having no girls on the team.
Yeah, I noted that, too.
Especially, you know, as a young girl reading this, I definitely was, like, hype about the fact that she pointed this out. But after recent events... definitely doesn't, it's not as powerful anymore.
Yeah,
true.
You know, and just to read it to the listeners, Angelina, Alicia, and Katie had come over too. There were no girls on the Slytherin team who stood shoulder to shoulder, facing the Gryffindors, leering to a man.
Anytime I think J.K. Rowling makes like a gendered statement in these books, it's going to have a new meaning this reading.
Yeah, which is, I think that's important. You know, you guys on that episode that was so good, J.K. Rowling is canceled. You guys did an excellent job of diving into that. And one of the things is, you know, how do you, I don't want to launch into all that, but how do you still appreciate art while understanding and possibly disliking and not respecting the authors and the creators? And so it's interesting to, like, you have to, once you know that, you can't read it without that.
It informs your reading.
Yeah, and it's important to like keep that in mind. But it was just, that was probably the first line that I've read since everything that happened that I was like, damn it, you ruined this. You ruined this for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because especially when you're at school and you're young and you're kids, I mean, gender is much more meaningless when you get younger. Well, that sounded stupid. The younger you are, the more meaningless the social construct of gender is to you. And as you get older, you start to manifest it. And so, yeah,
and you start to perform it more and more.
You start to perform it more and more, and we see that come out in this series just a little bit more each book with the romance and the way different people develop. And for some reason, my brain went right to the fucking Yule Ball.
That's weird, because I just like went to the Yule Ball as well.
Well,
I just imagined Hermione and what's his face, Victor Crumb dancing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that's where it all kind of comes to a head, like
for the first time. Yeah,
like Hogwarts, like you know, in the movies, there's a difference in like the boys and girls uniforms and everything, but like in the books, it's never really described. Like there's not really an appreciable difference, except that like Hermione knows a little more about like the girl world of Hogwarts than Harry and Ron do.
But that's also just like they live in the same room.
Yeah. Like, and so like the Yule Ball is where like they let it all hang out and everyone like gets to wear what they want to wear, and like
they get to quote, let their hair down.
Right.
As McGonagall says.
Yeah, so that's like where the melting pot of hormones like bubbles over.
Ew, that sounds disgusting.
Yes, it does.
So I do not want that fondue. Jesus Christ. Okay, so the Slytherins have a special note from Snape. So who the fuck let him do that? There's an official schedule, dude. This is an institution.
Nope. Snape makes his own fucking rules.
They could go. I mean, that's not that anyone would go to Dumbledore about that, but like, I mean, there's like something to be done about this injustice.
I would assume that even if Oliver Wood didn't go to her to fix it in the moment, I would assume that Oliver Wood went to McGonagall and yelled about it.
Yeah, I think McGonagall and Wood probably have a closer relationship than we get to see in these books because they both so passionately care. I feel like McGonagall does her best to like guide Oliver Wood to winning without putting like pressure on him, but like I feel
she
like
knows she's an anxious dude.
Yeah,
they have the relationship of like a a championship like dog handler and a border collie.
Yes. Especially a border collie that is then responsible for a bunch of border collie puppies.
Yes.
I'm imagining like McGonagall going up to Snape and being like, Severus, I swear to God, you will give Wood
if you fuck this up for me this year
because he's fucking stressed. Like, we're not talking about it, Severus.
One thing that I think is really, well, there's several things that I think are interesting in this chapter, but reading this as an adult, I find some of the word choices here that were used to be very interesting. So I'm going to read here just a couple sentences down. We're reading Professor Snow. You got a new seeker, blah, blah, blah. And from behind them, and from behind the six large figures before them came a seventh. I think just the way she wrote that is interesting, considering, this chapter, just a couple sections down, we go into how Malfoy basically bought his way onto the team with a Nimbus 2001. So just the way she wrote that, specifying the 6-figure, the 7-figure, that immediately made me think, ooh, big salary, big money, big broomsticks, So
that is interesting.
And I think too, she just is subtly trying to make it very clear by that point when they talk about the broomsticks that he obviously isn't chosen because of his talent. He's chosen because of that. Because they make it very clear that there's 6 large figures and then the smallest Malfoy.
Yeah. Although seekers are supposed to be small.
True.
Oh,
okay.
But he's such a little rat. And but like
yeah.
But like the word choice through this whole section is just deliberately chosen to be so obnoxious. Like they're waving the brooms under the Gryffindors' noses.
Yeah.
In the early morning sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Draco's on the team, dude. And
of course he is.
Yet another little inconvenience for Harry. Like he started the day with Colin Creevey, and then he sat in over an hour-long meeting about Quidditch strategies, and now Draco Malfoy is on the opposing team.
Honestly, by the time we get to Ron and the Slugs, Harry's probably like, nice. Like, I'm gonna take this exit, and like, I got you, buddy. Like, I'm here for you.
Yep.
I'm gonna worry about you for a hot minute.
Yeah, just get me the fuck out of this situation.
So Ron and Hermione come down onto the pitch. I picture them so vividly. Some things I just can't separate from the films. And it's like the second Slytherin walks up in the films, Ron and Hermione are just like, well, that is our cue. We need to get our little booties down there in case there's a fight. And it's like, no, sit the fuck down. This is like a Quidditch issue. But no, they go and implicate themselves. Is that right?
No,
I don't think so. I think implicate is like reveal your guilt.
Okay, what do they do? There's a word like
insert. That. They insert themselves.
Place themselves.
Oh, it's getting worse.
Ingratiate? That's not right.
All right, they walk their little butts down to the pitch, and they're like, "Hey, we're a part of this conversation."
I know. They just embarrass themselves, really.
Yeah, and like the one good line that Hermione has is the line that ruins everything. Because she says, at least no one on the Gryffindor team had to buy their way in. They got in on pure talent. And then Draco is like, shut up, Mudblood.
He drops the M-bomb.
The M-bomb, yeah. And like, kudos on Harry for picking up context, because he does not always pick up context clues, but he's like, it's like he could tell right away that Malfoy had said something terrible because everyone reacted so explosively.
It's like, oh, that's the slur voice. Like that was definitely a slur.
Yep.
And I love that Fred and George are like two of the ones jumping in at the very beginning, which is such a Weasley thing. Like the Weasleys are always down. They're like, just like whatever they do that drives Molly crazy. She would be so proud of every time they are there for their friends, no matter what.
Yeah, I think Haley, you're the one who said that the Weasleys are the most ready to fight family.
Yes, they are.
And there's like a ranking. Obviously, Percy's at the bottom, and I think we said Ginny's at the top.
Ginny is by far at the top.
Ready to fight.
Yes,
Ginny is the most someone up.
Yeah, Ginny is the most ready to fight member of that entire family, bar none.
We will post our official ranking on Twitter. Look for that.
Yes.
I would definitely want the Weasleys behind me in a bar fight. Just saying, you know.
Oh yeah,
I would specifically start a bar fight just to have, like, if they were behind me, just to have them come up.
Not to go on a tangent, but like that was the thing that James Joyce used to do. The little shit. He would go drinking with Ernest Hemingway in Paris, and then like he would, because James Joyce was like fucking 5 feet tall and like a little Irish like arrogant shit, and he would like start fights with people, and then they would like square up on him, and then he would dive behind his Ernest Hemingway and be like, "Deal with him, Hemingway, deal with him."
So I want to point out 2 things in that, and first of all, I want to say, don't be talking shit about us 5-foot men. Secondly,
no. It's like,
secondly,
you're 5
know
foot, but you're solid. Like you can,
yes,
you can start a fight and it's not shitty. Like James Joyce,
you got some weight to throw around.
Yeah, like a strong wind could blow James Joyce away.
Secondly, I want to point out, so running joke from college, Haley loves James Joyce. She just won't admit it to herself.
I will kill you in real life.
Guys, come now, play nice.
In real life and slit your throat. I hate James Joyce so much.
I mean, it's been a while since I've seen you, so come on over.
Yes.
If it works, it works.
You don't have to worry about catching COVID if you're just going to murder him anyway.
You're right.
That's true.
I would just like to mention the fact that, like, I know Mudblood is supposed to be the worst slur ever, but if you stick "you filthy little" in front of it, it makes it sound sexual, and I can't get over that. We watched the movie the other night too, and it just like it just makes me cringe. Slut. Yes,
yeah,
it just makes me cringe because I'm supposed to take it seriously and I can't.
Have any of you ever shipped Hermione and Draco?
No,
a little bit.
I've never really shipped that.
I could see him hate fucking. I would want Hermione on top.
Yeah, like Hermione would have to be just so completely in control of that.
Yeah.
I would just imagine them, both growing up, and Draco learns that he can't be an a-hole, and he realizes that he likes a powerful woman, and it works.
A real cruel prince situation.
I'm just going to throw this out here. I think that Draco picked up filthy little from overhearing Narcissa and Lucius in bed because...
or just fighting, because I'm sure that fighting and in bed, there's some carryover, I
mean, Narcissa is definitely doming the shit out of Lucius. Like,
they like some
all
dark
know
stuff.
This.
Yeah, they've got some
the black leather. There's no way they're not.
That's fair. Sure. I could see Hermione doming Malfoy like, yeah, who's your filthy little mudblood now?
See, I just can't.
Yes, I will be your girlfriend, but you have to give me a year of servitude before I will agree to that.
Yeah.
You could do it.
Obviously, they're all over 18 and consenting adults when this is taking place.
Obviously.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
God, I'm every single time. I'm going to mention it every single time.
It's important to mention,
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, it's hard because when I first started reading these books, I was young, and so sexualizing these characters felt natural, and it's something that you just like. It's not like I continue to sexualize this 12-year-old, but like it's a part of my Harry Potter history.
Yeah, it's hard. Once a crush, always a crush. So it's hard to.
I think saying a crush is much better than saying sexualizing.
Yeah,
right.
That's totally fair. I get that. Not to get too much off on it, but I'm sure you're all familiar with Christina Ricci in Casper the Friendly Ghost. Like, 9-year-old Danni was really crushing on 12-year-old Christina Ricci. And so, like, watching that movie, I remember, like, oh my God, I just loved her so much. And now I'm like, she's 12.
And I remember my sister and I crushing on Casper. I don't know if y'all
not
remember.
Even the sexiest ghost out there.
But like, as a ghost, Casper looked like a little baby child, and then you see he like has that one night where he comes to life, or not. He's like back to his regular self. And he was so handsome. He was that 90s like JTT look. I don't remember his
I just love how he whispers in her ear, "Can I keep you?"
Oh God. Which now thinking about it is so disturbing. If someone said that to me, I'd be like, fuck you, no.
Join me in death.
Man.
For me, Haley, we've talked about this at length before. It was Jeremy Sumter's Peter Pan.
I mean,
That's fair.
So hot.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was definitely a bisexual crush.
Oh yeah.
He's
But like
usually played by a woman.
The advantage of that particular iteration of Peter Pan media is that as an adult you can watch it, and like your little inner 10-year-old is still like hard eyes at Peter Pan, but like your adult, like the woman in you can now appreciate Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs, dude, is like, I don't know what it is about him.
Oh no!
God, he is so sexy. Like, what is it?
I have no answers.
None of his characters are even sexy. I guess Lucius is a little sexy. I've always liked a blonde man, but I don't usually like them ice blonde.
I'd fuck Hook.
I'd probably fuck Hook too. And you know what? Mr. Darling, he does his best. And in the deleted scenes, he puts himself physically in the doghouse for that whole debacle.
I mean,
all right.
Yeah, no, let's get back to Harry Potter. Back to Harry Potter. This is getting weird.
Speaking of Jason Isaacs,
yes,
Lucius Malfoy has purchased the whole Slytherin Team Nimbus 2001s, which is one better than what Harry has. One what? We don't. 1 mile per hour more.
Kilometer.
No. It is the Imperial system.
They still use kilometers.
They do?
Yeah.
But it's the Imperial system.
Yeah, we're the only ones that still use it.
Wait, I shamed Mary Clay on this show for not knowing that.
They still colloquially use it for some things, but like I think they're mostly over to metric now. For our listeners, Christina is currently looking it up on her phone.
Huh.
That's all she's gonna say.
It looks as though I'm right.
What? They're still on fucking Imperial?
They use the metric system except miles.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, but
commit.
It's cool because we were both right.
All right.
Yay, friendship!
Yay, friendship! we don't have to break up over this.
Oh, thank God! I've broken up over math before, and it's just really complicated. So, oh my God, we're on the Quidditch pitch. Wow, that was like a long detour. Speaking of miles per hour, that was a long detour on the highway to racial slurs. Okay, so everyone goes nuts. The twins are trying to fight. Marcus Flint is bodily protecting Draco Malfoy because if Draco Malfoy gets hurt, he might lose the brooms. Ron tries to slugify Draco. I don't know what spell he's trying to do. He doesn't say any words. But we all know what happens. His wand backfires.
Literally.
Yeah, it
I like how she
backwards.
does that, actually. I like how she does that where it's in the previous chapter that he says eat slugs to Malfoy. And then in this one, he doesn't say anything, but you know he was trying to perform that specific spell.
No, Ron's been planning this.
So he slugs himself. You tried to slug me, and you only slugged yourself, buddy. He immediately starts vomiting slugs, which, like...
Ugh.
Do you think that's a deliberate wordplay, like slug as in like punch and slug as in slugged?
Oh, interesting.
With literal slugs. Do you think that was on purpose?
That's like such a British thing if it is on purpose.
Yeah. I never
I'm going to slug you. What?
What?
So he slugs himself. He starts vomiting slugs. It sounds gross. It's probably not as gross as some vomits are.
I don't know. Have you ever licked a slug?
I don't know. Have you ever just like been heaving nothing but stomach bile?
I mean, yeah, but I've also never licked a slug, so I can't compare.
I feel like this would be like slugs in a form of stomach bile.
So the question is,
so these slugs are just coming into the world covered in acid, like boiling to death in chemicals. That's horrific.
That's even worse. Poor sluggies.
Where are they originating from?
Hold on. I don't remember, but on this podcast before, we've definitely gone really far down like a vomit conversation, and I'm trying to remember like why. But Haley, that was my question too, is like, do they manifest in his mouth or in his stomach or in his esophagus?
Well, because he burps them up.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, I don't think that means anything.
I don't know.
And anatomically.
I feel like she does a couple of hints. Some of the wording, it seems to me like they're coming from his stomach. Like,
because he's like heaving.
And Hagrid just being ridiculous is like better out than in.
Yeah,
if it was just in the mouth, I don't know.
Yeah, like because they're eating like his treacle that like glues their teeth together. So like if he ate that and his teeth got glued together, he would just have a buildup of slugs.
All right, and I'm calling it.
Oh my god!
Well,
Jesus,
and I think
take the wheel
of this podcast.
So I think it's worth mentioning that. I think there is a great difference between the film and the books here. In the film, I think those slugs are manifesting in his mouth because he's just kind of like bloop, bloop. But I think in the books, it definitely reads as more of a full body. Like I drank so many Four Locos, just like like a deep like we've all been there. Why is the world spinning? Why did I let her convince me to take this many shots? Like. Just like so.
You sound like you're lost in like a Nom flashback.
Alexis.
Oh no.
One thing that I think is really cool, not so much in the book, obviously, but in the movie is, I just remember at one point several years ago, I watched a little like making of the Harry Potter movies, and I remember they talked about the slugs as being flavored. So like there were several, and they were like lemon and cherry flavored.
Oh, like the props or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So just some
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, I guess.
I just wouldn't have assumed. I feel like there are plenty of movies or TV shows where they have something that weird that they have to eat or they're spitting up, whatever, for whatever reason. And I would not have imagined that the company would go far enough to flavor it.
I've read before, I think this was about an episode of The Office. Oh my god, is it the Booze Cruise where everybody is like so sick? And it was the actress who plays Pam, it's like Jenna something.
Fisher.
Is it Jenna or Gemma?
Jenna Fisher.
Jenna Fisher. I could be literally misremembering any single one of these details, but she was saying that like everyone's vomiting and they had to take like a million takes of everyone vomiting all the time. And they had like cream of mushroom soup or like carrot soup and like pick your vomit.
That's like in the original Exorcist, all the vomit was just pea soup.
Yeah. Y'all ever had pea soup? It looks kind of gross.
I love pea soup, but yes, it looks
It's very tasty, but it looks horrible.
Also, can we just focus on this disgustingly beautiful language right now? The Gryffindors were gathered around Ron, who kept belching large, glistening slugs.
You can like see like the string of slime coming off.
Nobody seemed to want to touch him. Yeah, I get it.
After the slug hits the ground, it's like still the string of slime like coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, like a slice of really good pizza.
Except
yeah,
not.
just like that.
Escargot pizza.
This episode is rated explicit, not for sexual content for the first time ever.
Yay!
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. I think we probably have also hit the sexual content so far. So they take Ron to Hagrid's, which is like good move. I mean, Hagrid.
They mow down Colin Creevey on the way.
Yeah, Hagrid's the guy who like he's seen it all. He's nonplussed. Like that's the right move. And like also creatures. We got some creatures for you.
Yep.
Ron's just gonna puke them onto your table. No big deal.
Yeah, Colin tries to tag along. He's like, "Can you?" This is. It's like it's like Colin's annoying. He obviously needs friends. He's obviously in a little bit over his head. And it's like, you want to be sympathetic, but it's shit like this where he's like, can you turn him so I can take a picture? And it's like, oh, you've never been around humans. You have no idea what truly obnoxious behavior is.
Yeah, I was going to say this is his first instance of just being an asshole. Like, not even being a cute, oblivious little kid. He's just being an asshole here.
For sure. He has no idea, dude. I don't know. He thinks him and Harry are friends and that Harry's like in on it with him, you know, yeah, turn him my way. As they're approaching Hagrid's hut, Lockhart comes out of it. He's like a Harbinger's not right, but he's like everywhere Harry goes, he's there like right beforehand. And so he's been trying to give Hagrid some advice on
how to do his fucking job.
Yeah, how to do his fucking job, yeah. And it's just crazy because like we know that Lockhart has nothing. Like that he has nothing to offer. So like how is he like so boldly walking into these, like how is he offering nothing?
I had a theory that like because he knows he didn't actually do a lot of these things and there are many things he doesn't know how to do that he's pretended he knows how to do. So I have a feeling that like he'll specifically think of things that he does know how to do and over explain them to people.
Oh, shit.
You know, like, because I would assume that if he's talking to both Professor Sprout and Hagrid about parts of their job, that he's saying probably accurate stuff about how to do it.
Maybe he just like grew up on a farm and that's the only thing he's ever really done. So he knows how to do like outdoorsy stuff.
I just feel like he's trying to shout this loudly so that people are like, wow, he knows so many things about so many different things.
That's it. I mean, that's pretty solid theory.
But like what he actually knows is like the absolute basics and like he misremembers half the details.
Lockhart's got that big dick energy, except he doesn't have a big dick, if anything.
It's like a big inflated dick energy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. He's a shower, not a grower.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like so much hot air. So then Lockhart leaves and so like the trio hides behind a bush while Ron is vomiting slugs like from Lockhart.
And you know, Ron comes along. Ron is like, no, priorities. I'm not.
He's like fine with it.
Because like think about if Lockhart had seen them, then he would be trying to give them advice on how to, or he'd try to cure Ron. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. And like, I mean, they don't know this yet, but like, we see how that fucking turns out when he tries to perform medical spells. So yeah, hiding is probably the move because he might have like vanished Ron's stomach or something.
Oh no.
Rough.
Yeah.
Oh, cows get 3 stomachs or whatever. Ron gets 0.
We know how that boy loves to eat.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Oh my god. I just got that vision of him right before the troll comes in the first Sorcerer's Stone movie. He's just like eating
just double fisting chicken legs.
He's so cute. I love it.
So Lockhart leaves. They go to Hagrid's hut. Hagrid is not at all perturbed. Like not even surprised. He's just like, oh yeah, so the old slug thing. Been there before. Better out than in.
And then in there, sorry.
Even Hermione, who is always the expert in everything, says, "I don't think there's anything we can do except to wait for it to stop."
Yeah, I noted that as well because it does strike me as a little defeatist for Hermione. But
yeah,
this is out. I think a broken wand is like, what do you do about that?
Yeah, and like the next line she says is like, apparently this is a real curse because she says like that's a difficult curse to work at the best of times.
Yeah,
but with a broken wand and then kind of trails off. So like she knows what Ron was trying to do, and she knows exactly how he fucked up, and she's like, there's no way we can help.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So they're just kind of chit chatting. Hagrid also thinks Lockhart is a charlatan and tells us a little bit about how no one will take that job at this point because people are starting to think it's jinxed. So he was literally the only person who would say yes, which I still don't think is a great reason to hire a shitty person, but also Dumbledore, he's a busy man. Like the background checked out, so you're in.
He was the most dramatic choice, and that's the only fucking consideration for wizards.
Dumbledore was like, that man has style. Get him in here.
Yes.
I mean, he did, what's the line? He came out of Hagrid's hut dressed in, what is it? The palest of mauve robes. I mean,
no, he's wearing a different color every single time we see him.
Lockhart is fabulous, and I respect and appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Best dressed character in this entire series. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like mauve is definitely a color you wear when you don't expect to get any sort of dirt anywhere near you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a pretty color.
I mean, and it's palest mauve. So.
So then they talk about mudblood, which is a term that Hermione also has never heard because you're not going to find it in a textbook. I don't know if there's some kind of like wizard version of Urban Dictionary, but she hasn't stumbled across it yet.
I have to interject because I love in this part. So the other night, I said in the last episode, but we watched the second movie, which in my opinion is terrible. But anyways,
it's pretty bad.
In this part, Hermione explains what a mudblood is.
I hate it.
And it's so much better this way. Ron is such a better character in the books. It is unreal. Like, he's just an idiot in the movies.
No, I read once, like, something, I wish I could remember, like, where I saw this. It was some internet post. But someone said, like, Ron in the movies is what Ron in the books is afraid he is.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see his heart right here because he's literally spinning up slugs. And he obviously is so upset by the fact that someone called Hermione a mudblood that he's explaining it. It's a really foul name for someone who's Muggle-born. And then he explains, a lot of families think that wizards should just be pure blood. You don't see that kind of heart at all in him in the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
I forget about it, honestly.
Going back to that quote you just said, Haley, I think that's interesting to think about with Hermione too. Like almost like movie Hermione is what like other people perceive book Hermione as.
Yeah. And like I think you're the one who has said a couple of times that like in the movies Hermione gets all of the smart, the smart belongs. Yeah.
She even takes it from like teachers and adults. Yeah. It's like the smart.
She steals like a Dumbledore quote at one point in the movies and like
give it to her.
Right. Like the devil's snare thing, like in the books it's such a better character moment because she forgets she can do fucking magic for a moment because she's panicking.
It's so good.
And like it's honestly like it's just better writing for a female character that like she has strengths, but she also has weaknesses and they balance.
It's just so crazy because a lot of the things that we don't really like about the Harry Potter films, it's like they didn't have enough time. They didn't have enough time for all these characters. They didn't have enough time for all these subplots. But if the lines are being said, they definitely had enough time for the right person to say them.
Yeah, they just didn't want her to come. They wanted to write her as like a perfect character, which made her
disgusting.
Because it made her less developed. It made her less nuanced.
And like honestly, like not getting like we're going on a tangent, but it's fine. Everything changes. Everything she does changes because of the different tone that they give her character.
Right.
The only thing that she cannot do right in the films is her hair.
Yep.
It's so bad. And Chamber of Secrets is the worst offender.
Oh, crimped. It's so unfortunate.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it wasn't her fault. It was the early 2000s, but good Lord.
But they really tried to curl it and tame it while making it seem like it's just natural, crazy, wavy hair, and you can't do that.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Like this right here, this au naturel.
Haley
I can't see it, listeners, but I have a lot of
her hair.
I have a lot of fucking hair. I have a lot of fucking very curly hair.
Okay, wait.
Personal offense.
Wait. There's a joke coming. That's why her hair is so big. It's full of the Chamber of Secrets.
Hey.
Nice.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I like a good mashup.
Thank you. So they get off the mudblood thing because obviously everyone in that cabin is on the same page about the whole mudblood situation. Hagrid teases Harry about giving out signed photos. He's like, how come I haven't gotten one? And Harry Harry starts immediately like yelling about it, and Hagrid is laughing. I love it. I love Hagrid. He's so good.
Not the best guardian, but damn it, he's a good friend.
He's a good friend. Yeah, he's like the older brother who lets you do maybe like a little more than you should be allowed to do.
Like, I'll give you a little weed.
Yeah.
As long as you stay in this hut.
Yes, in the hut.
I know the moment has kind of passed, but I just kind of was rereading it as we're chatting here and thinking I really appreciate this chapter as well, because throughout this series, I just love the little moments that build up between Ron and Hermione and how those just little moments just spread into their romance. I've heard that a lot of people in the Harry Potter fandom just do not care for Ron and Hermione being a thing, and I just absolutely love them as a thing, and I think this chapter just really magnifies early on that Ron is just harboring these secret, cutesy little love feelings for Hermione by defending her, and just like, if anyone in this book has big dick energy, it is Ron.
Oh, he deserves it.
He does. And that's all I needed to say.
I love them too, but for a little different reason. But I like that they're a trio, right? And so because we're used to it whenever we read a book or see a movie where there's like, two guys and a girl, we're waiting to see who pairs up, right? But I love their relationship in these books because they all become such good friends first. And Harry, who's the main character, doesn't end up with the main character girl.
Yeah.
They're all very main characters, but it's Ron and Hermione. And I think it shows too that girls and guys can really be friends. It's nice to see that instead of having to have these. Like, they never have romantic feelings for each other.
I know there's a lot of people who really ship Harry and Hermione, and they don't ship Hermione and Ron. And I've always felt that Harry and Hermione's relationship is so, so, so deeply platonic. And that doesn't take away from its strength and its beauty. Like, they are one of the most badass, efficient pairs. They can get shit done, dude. Like, they are a great team, but it's so deeply platonic, and I think that's what makes it awesome.
Very true.
For true.
Okay, and then Hagrid shows off his giant pumpkins. Is that a thing that comes back later? Oh, no. I remember that I was wondering that while I was reading it. He's showing off his giant pumpkins because we need to be reminded about his umbrella.
Yes.
They're giant pumpkins because he's been engorgifying them.
But I kind of hate, I don't know if there's a word for this kind of writing where one of the characters just happens to see for no reason at all something that's related to what they're thinking about right then. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but Hagrid looks over his shoulder to check that they're alone. He says, well, I've been giving them, a bit of help. Harry noticed Hagrid's flowery pink umbrella leaning against the back wall of the cabin. Like, I hate that. Like, why would he, in that moment, notice it? No one
probably because Harry's
stupid.
It's
so convenient.
Harry's stupid, and he's like, a little bit of help. What does that mean? Oh, I've seen Hagrid. Oh, when we were in the boat, and the umbrella made the boat go. Maybe the umbrella is still. Oh, there's the umbrella.
It's just like it's too convenient, and I wished today that I had an example. I was like, I need an example to tell them on the podcast of when that's happened before, but I can't think of one, of course. But.
No, it's just, this is one of those things that if I was the editor, I would have suggested, like, this is something that can be fixed with one little line of, like, Hagrid just, like, nods towards the back of his cabin, and Harry's like, oh, there's the umbrella. Okay, I get what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm 14 at heart, and when I read the line about the pumpkins being engorged, the first thing I said in my head was, "I'll give you an engorged pumpkin, all right?" Like, yeah. So that's where I'm at. Wow. You guys have actual, like, valid things to say, and I'm thinking dirty things about pumpkins. So.
I'm wasting my time thinking about the writing. Damn.
It definitely, it reminds me of at the beginning of 10 Things I Hate About You, when the principal is writing her romance novel.
I love that.
Quivering member.
Oh my God. Also,
And she's
quality movie.
And she's asking the students, like, doesn't she like ask them their opinions about certain parts?
No, it's Kat, like, just gives her, like, Kat just knows what she's working on, and it's like try engorged penis or like whatever she says. Try engorged pumpkin. Guys, my next romance novel is going to be The Engorged Pumpkin.
I love it.
All right.
It's like the Headless Horseman, but like his dick was cut off and it was replaced with a jack-o'-lantern.
Guys, stop talking about this immediately before someone steals it, and you write it down.
Good idea.
Copyrighted by the Movie Night Crew on August 13th, 2020. Okay, we're almost done. So finally the slugs mostly stop. They go up to the school for lunch, but Professor McGonagall intercepts them and is like, don't forget, you have detention. Fuck you guys. You flew a car. So Ron gets to go polish trophies with no magic, elbow grease only with Filch, which sucks because Ron's definitely the kind of kid who moans and groans about doing chores with magical help.
Yeah, I can't imagine how frustrating and annoying that would be if you're not only having to polish, but you're used to polishing with magic, and now you just got to do it the normal way.
Well, and I'm a muggle, and I've been very good about doing a lot of chores all my life. I'm the only girl, and I'm the oldest child, and my beautiful husband has ADHD and... Is he there? No. And does very little around the house. So, but polishing silver and stuff like that, so...
Oh, yeah, it's
that
a pain.
is so shitty. I will do 1,000 dishes.
So another moment of me being a 14-year-old, especially after we just read about the engorgement charm. And in this point, I was wondering if, they were trying to throw in some little sexual nuances because, polishing the trophy is a phrase that young men will often use when they're, doing the deed.
Really?
So we went right from the engorgement charm to Ron polishing his trophies.
And he had to polish the same trophy 14 times.
Yeah. I've been there, Ron. I've been there.
Poor thing, he's so tired. His arm is tired at the end, too, isn't it?
He needs some fluids.
His muscles seized up. Oh, my God.
Get that boy some pumpkin juice.
Engorged pumpkin juice.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Okay. Harry gets to go do detention with Lockhart. I think it's Lockhart's special request. Lockhart is answering fan mail because he can't stop being a celebrity now that he's a teacher. He has to do both. He's a hero. And Harry gets to write the addresses on the envelopes, which is so tedious.
Such a good time. And I love, all the detentions always happen at night. Late at night, not even like an evening time detention.
Yeah, that's mostly true, yeah.
Yeah, it's always close to curfew.
Yeah,
or after curfew.
They're really hoping that Harry and Ron will get into trouble, honestly.
They're like, let's keep isolating this kid and hope that some shit goes down.
Yeah.
I can't remember a lot of detentions specifically. I obviously remember his Umbridge detentions, which I think also happened late at night. Does anyone remember any other specific detentions besides the Forbidden Forest? Yeah.
He has a few with Snape in 4, 5, and 6.
Oh yeah.
It's mostly doing ingredients prep. Usually something disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, barfing.
But I can't remember if it's after dark.
Everything. It's always dark in the dungeons. So he goes to that and does that, and Lockhart, from my understanding of the chapter, is just talking and talking and talking, and Harry's just yeah, okay, cool, yeah. It's when I'm telling a story about how my girlfriends are annoying me or whatever, and Sean's just oh yeah, it's cool, oh yeah, okay.
After our Facebook and /Twitter request to see who besides Kenneth Branagh could have played Lockhart, and someone suggested the guy who plays Laszlo in What We Do in the Shadows.
Matt Berry.
Now I hear Matt Berry's voice,
which is somehow more performative than Kenneth Branagh's voice. I mean, I'm doing it. My brain's doing it. Just like,
Right.
well, you know, Harry. Like,
Fame's a fickle friend, Harry.
somehow Matt Berry is like the sexiest person to me. Like, I know I've already gone off about Jason Isaacs, but I think
no, big dick energy. That's what it is.
Big dick energy. Yes, Matt Berry has the biggest dick energy, and like his character in What We Do in the Shadows, it's just like so confident. There's
vulva topiaries.
His vulva topiaries. This one is my mother. Like, and like him and his like male roommate just like casually jerk each other off, and it's like, this is just business, you know? Oh, I love it. Okay, so toward the end of detention, when he's desperately praying for the sweet, sweet release of either death or the end of detention, whichever comes first, Harry hears a voice, and it says, "Come to me. Let me rip you. Let me tear you. Let me kill you." Probably exactly like that. And Harry, of course, is like, wait, what?
I mean, that was a voice to chill the bone marrow.
Yeah.
A voice of breathtaking, ice-cold venom.
You know me, I'm really good at that.
Nailed it.
Yeah, so Harry's like, what's that? And Lockhart's like, come again? And Harry's like, oh, what's that voice? And Lockhart is like, great Scott, look at the time, blah, blah, blah. You're probably so tired. Time flies when you're having fun, Harry, doesn't it? We're best pals. Someday you're going to be as famous as me. Go off to Betty Bye now. And then Harry goes back to the dorm. Ron is still at detention, comes back a half hour later. Harry tells Ron what happened. I think Harry was hoping Ron would be like, oh, yeah, that's just like this crazy wizard thing that happens when you have like the wizard hallucination flu or like whatever. But like, no, Ron doesn't have an explanation either. I love like, maybe I'll like count or something, but like how many times in this whole series, like something happens to like one or two of the trio and then they have to go back and there's like a paragraph where it's like, and then Harry told Ron everything that had happened at detention. It happens all the time.
So much. Yeah.
And
a lot of it is Harry explaining what's happening in his head.
And honestly, Ron and Hermione being pretty accepting and supportive, considering.
Yeah, great friends. I mean, I feel like in this book, she does a great job of actually making it seem like Harry might be a little bit crazy, and they do doubt him a lot. If I remember correctly, I haven't read past this chapter yet, but in a long time. But
because what he's saying is very hard to believe.
Yeah, right. But it's not like they're dubious. They're like, they believe that he is hearing a thing. They're just worried about him because of like the various things that could mean.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it does set you, especially right now, like you as the reader, it sets you up a little bit. I mean, he's had like a long, hard day. And then it's like he's hearing voices, and it's like, baby, just go to sleep, okay? You live
in a scary magic castle. Like it could have been a ghost or something. I don't know.
Could have been. Nearly Headless Nick is just playing a prank on someone.
He would never.
Yeah, it would be somewhat of a Peeves.
Yeah.
Cool. So does anyone have anything to say about this chapter that we haven't touched on already?
I would just like to say, going back to my 14-year-old boy thing again, just looking through, took ages to get all the slime off, as Ron is talking about the trophies. So again, I think that this chapter, or, the polishing the trophies is just Ron in a room jerking off 14 times, and that is what I have to say.
Yeah, Ron just hit puberty. This is the day Ron hit puberty. Good day. Yeah. I wanted to just briefly bring up, he had another slug attack all over a special award for services to the school.
Yes, excellent.
Yes, which later turns out to have been Tom Riddle. Like, yes. That's a really great setup right there.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. Slug attack. That sounds like a shitty Pokemon, as like the slug attack. It's like,
do you use slug attack?
No, it's a thing in Barobu.
Barobu, Slugadactyl, Slugosaur. It's from Bob's Burgers. All our jokes are always from Bob's Burgers.
That's fair.
Cool. Are y'all ready to move on to our plugs?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. You want to start, Mary-Peyton?
No.
Oh yeah, you didn't have one in the last time we recorded either.
Which was last night.
Pick a book off your shelf that you've read before and tell us about it.
All right. Well, y'all talk. Oh, actually, no, I got one.
See, it's easy enough. Her bookshelf's right behind her.
This is a book called Hot Dudes Reading. Highly recommended. It's actually a really great Instagram account in case any of you guys don't follow it. Literally, this person, she just goes around New York City. And, well, I'm assuming it's she actually. I don't know. They go around New York City and take pictures of sexy dudes. I'm showing pictures right now to the group. Reading books, and they're all very sexy. But the best part, honestly, is her comments at the bottom, which are just funny every time and full of sexual innuendo. And it's really a joy. So I highly recommend it.
Like polishing the trophy.
Also, please follow me at Richmond Reads on Insta.
If you type in hot dudes just into your Instagram search, it's hot dudes reading, hot dudes with dogs, hot dudes in hummus, hot dudes in the kitchen. Like
all of my favorite things.
Hot dudes and hummus. God, like I'm there.
For a second, I was like, hot dudes in hummus. Like, are they bathing in it?
Well, I'm thinking
is that like the opposite of mud wrestling or like pudding wrestling? Like when they do like hot girls in bikinis, like wrestling in a little pool of pudding. Like it's just the same thing, but like dudes in Speedos, like wrestling in a big thing of hummus.
Vegans.
Hopefully. Hopefully it is.
I'm following so many accounts right now.
Your feed is going to be so good.
Okay. Haley, you're next.
I recently, I'm very late to this, I know, but I recently watched the HBO miniseries about Chernobyl, which is called Chernobyl. It is fucking harrowing and terrifying and really fucking good.
I don't want it.
Okay, great.
I don't.
Danny, your turn.
All right. I would like to plug a book called Knox by Anne Carson. It's really awesome. It's actually accordion style, so it comes in a box, and when you open the box, the book comes out, and it's just an accordion string of pages, and it's very abstract. It's amazing, and I just love it. I will also be so bold as to plug my Instagram. Y'all could follow my beautiful self at Rob Starks Air on Instagram.
Hell yeah. I have been your host, Christina. You can follow me on Instagram at Yale Girl of the World. You can follow me on Twitter at Tina Fontina. And today I'm going to plug a company that I purchase things from. It's called MightyNest. They are like a sustainable home goods company, and they have a monthly subscription box that I subscribe to. It's a really good idea if you're trying to like slowly convert your life to be more sustainable. It's $11 a month, or at least it was when I signed up, and they'll send you just like one random sustainable item every month, and you can, I mean, they're like a whole store too, so they have some really cool things. So I've gotten things like a lot of really good kitchen stuff, like reusable like tumblers and like plastic baggies and like cool fancy Tupperwares and stuff. I've gotten like some like really cute Swedish dishcloths and like literally anything you can imagine in your kitchen basically. And they'll also send you like plastic-free packaging, like laundry detergent and stuff for you to just like try something new and see if you like it. I would recommend them. That's MightyNest, and the link is in the show notes. So, any last words, anyone? A resounding silence. What'd you say?
Tina, I love you.
I talked over it.
You ruined it.
I'm so sorry. I ruined everything. All right, I'll get the fuck out of here. You get the fuck out of here. Goodbye now.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
Thank you guys again for having me.
Fuck,
It's always been a blast.
I always forget to thank the guest.
I'm sorry.
I always forget to thank the guest. Danny, thank you so much for coming on. We had a really good time.
Thank you for having me. I loved it, as always. It's been a blast.
The Restricted section was created and hosted by me, Christina Kahn, based on the book series by J.K. Rowling. All music by Ryan Kahn. Logo by Michael Hardison. Technical support from Sean Watson. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at RestrictedSectionPod or shoot us an email at restrictedsectionpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, complaints, conspiracy theories, or lavish praise.
We all really polished our own trophies on that one.